Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wade. It is May 13th, and it appears that the other shoe has dropped in the Michael Brown saga. This long, arduous journey may be coming to a close with this. I'm going to be reacting to this reporting from the Royce Report in real time with you. I have only briefly scanned the beginning of it, but there appears to be more allegations and damning evidence being produced by a host of witnesses that have signed a joint statement that's like 134 pages long that they've been holding on to in the hopes that Dr. Brown was going to do the right thing. But of course he didn't. What I sometimes love about God is he'll wait. And I think he waited an extra couple of days to allow Landon Schott and Mercy Culture to be exposed for who they truly are too. And quite frankly, they need to go as well because they, threw him a ticker tape parade at their church because of the Elder Accountability Team report. Briefly, for those who don't know, the accusations against Dr. Brown go back to 2001, 2002, when he was building his holiness ministry to the point of telling his female students what kind of panties they were allowed to wear, and at the same time was engaging in two very inappropriate relationships. The first being with a woman around the same age as him, but who was married to somebody else, and obviously Dr. Brown was married to Nancy. And it developed into some kind of an inappropriate relationship over the phone, including allegations of phone sex. Dr. Brown tried to meet with her twice. She rebuffed those advances, which probably would have resulted in an affair. Let's just be adults here. The husband confronted Dr. Brown without his wife, and he said it was like pulling teeth, but got him to finally confess to the inappropriate relationship, which Dr. Brown has tried to play off as just an emotional soul tie. I don't remember emotional soul ties including phone sex, but maybe that's just me. The other relationship was with a 19-year-old sheep who was also working for him. And he tried to play this off as just being like a daddy-daughter thing. But, the activities that he was engaged with amount to like typical grooming type activities. You start and you progress. So it's like kiss on the forehead, eventually kiss on the lips, eventually slap on the bottom, whatever. The bottom line is at some point, she also rebuffed his continual advances and walked away. So originally the Line of Fire Board tried to hire a law firm out of Arizona that specialized in protecting the accused, not the accusers, and the victims balked at that, and eventually they settled on Firefly, which did the Bicklegate report. Firefly came out with their report and found that Dr. Brown had sexually abused, I believe the young girl, if I'm not mistaken. And what the Line of Fire Board did then was they created an elder accountability team to somehow parse out the Firefly report to recommend what happens. They were supposed to have a trauma counselor on that team. They did not. They reneged. Instead, they put one of their own board members, Mr. Bernice, on this four-man accountability team. And it became apparent when their report came out that their sole purpose was to get Dr. Brown back into ministry, because the first thing they did was they discounted the charge of sexual abuse. They said, no, that was just a leadership oopsie. So they recommended that he be immediately released back into ministry. Nothing to see here. Just forget about the victims. And, Dr. Brown then put out a 5-minute video basically saying, please don't divide over me, unify over Jesus. But basically, I'm back. Too bad. Get used to it. And, he said things like, I'm just here to lower the temperature. To which I think I said something like, it's a little late to lower the temperature after you set your house on fire, but hey. So then a few days later, he appeared at Mercy Culture Church, which is Landon Schott's gig down in Texas, because he's an apostolic elder of Landon Shaw. Landon Shaw was like, I'm not going to participate in cancel culture. And, the report says he should be back in ministry. And, they literally had confetti like falling all over the church as they welcomed him into the sanctuary, which was disgusting. Even if you really think that he belongs in ministry, you're basically celebrating what he did. But that aside, it appears now there's more. And it's funny because we've been saying all along, right, that usually where there's this much smoke, there's something's probably on fire. And, one of the main points of even the Firefly report was that they could find nothing from 2002 to today, which gave the indication to everybody that he had, repented. So let's find out what Royce has to say. Oops. Yeah, we're on the right one. Witnesses call for Michael Brown's resignation in bombshell report. Board member resigns. An 134-page indictment against the Messianic apologist Michael Brown, released last Friday, may be the most damaging report yet on the Bible teacher's sexual misconduct with his former secretary, with new allegations on sexual and spiritual abuse, cover-ups, and complicit leaders, including Brown's wife, Nancy. The bombshell report is calling for Michael Brown's permanent removal from ministry. Mike Brown is presently and perhaps permanently unfit for any position of church or ministry leadership, the report states. By the way, it's not. It's permanently. Neither should he be teaching at any level at this time. That is our position. Therefore, we call on fellow leaders to insist that he step down from all leadership roles. Brown used to lead the Brownsville Revival School of Ministry in Pensacola, Florida. He then founded the North Carolina-based Fire School of Ministry in the early 2000s. During the time he engaged in sexual misconduct. The new report is signed by Ron Cantor, Bob Gladstone, Keith Collins, and Mike Lobanovich, representing a large gathering known as the Witness Group. This latest broadside refutes a recent report by the Elder Accountability Team appointed by Brown's Line of Fire board that exonerated Brown. Cantor is the president of Messianic-themed Shalanu TV. Bob Gladstone and Keith Collins are former Fire School ministry leaders. And Mike Lobanovich is a former Fire Church pastor. So these aren't random people outside, right? It is our hope that we would not have to release this, but seeing that some members of the body of Christ have seen the Elder Accountability report as exonerating Dr. Brown, we have no choice but to release all the evidence and our conclusions, the witness report stated. Meanwhile, Jonathan Bernice, the only Line of Fire board member on the Elder Accountability Team, has resigned. I've stepped off the Line of Fire board due to health and family issues. I know Dr. Brown has brought on some really capable board members to serve going forward. Brown has not responded to the Roy's report request for comment. So, listen, I can't speak intelligently about what's going on in Mr. Bernice's family, but the timing sure seems like, that's not the reason. The report includes previously unreported material about the accusations that Brown swatted former Secretary Sarah Monks rear end, kissed her, held her hand, allowed her to sit on his lap in the early 2000s. There are testimonies, documentation, recordings by 25 people that include, but also go beyond the sexual misconduct allegations. The new allegations include a witness found pornography on Dr. Brown's phone in 2017 or 2018, refuting the Elder Accountability's claim that Brown's record was clean of sexual misconduct allegations after 2002. In late 2024, Brown told people that the Roy's report was investigating him, but also seemed to have prophesied that the Roy's report wouldn't publish an investigation on him. In November 2024, Brown contacted Tikkun Global, of which Cantor is a part, to complain that Cantor was trying to destroy him. Many lives are at stake, and I fear that Ron's own soul and future ministry is at stake, Brown reportedly wrote to Tikkun. Also in 2024, Brown tried to do damage control and manipulate influencer and apologist Mike Winger into siding with him about an unjust investigation before the Roy's report initial December 2024 article, Winger has written in a statement. Brown reportedly told Winger that someone planted false memories in Monk's mind. Nancy told a student that he wouldn't be able to graduate after he spent 2 years at the ministry school because he had been homeschooled. When he got a homeschool association involved and threatened a lawsuit, Nancy and Michael chastised him, saying he was unbiblical and a Jezebel. Brown has returned to his speaking ministry in the line of fire to both criticism and fanfare. This is despite a third-party investigation by independent investigator Firefly that determined Brown had engaged in sexually abusive misconduct with Monk and an inappropriate relationship with a married woman. Firefly report also concluded Brown engaged in a calculated effort to evade accountability. Last week, Landon Schott, a Fort Worth-based Mercy Culture Church, welcomed Brown back into ministry with confetti and applause. There's the picture. It's disgusting. The witness report alleges that Firefly report left out key testimonies and didn't follow up on important leads, both of which the witness's report included in their report. TRR Roy's report reached out to Jim Holler of Firefly for comment, but he didn't respond. The witness report also refutes a 27-page recommendation report by the Line of Fire Board appointed Elder Accountability Team that rejected Firefly's conclusion of sexually abusive misconduct. The EAT reframed it, leadership misconduct, instead. The EAT also praised Brown's response to confrontations and stated Brown adequately repented. In contrast to the witness report, offered testimony and documentation that alleged Dr. Brown attempted to deceive, manipulate, and retaliate against people who inquired or confronted him for over 2 decades. The 23-year effort to keep his actions from coming to light seemed like pathological behavior, contrary to the stance for any believer, much less someone who regularly speaks to himself as an elder and the father in the body, the witness report stated. It was not adequately taken into account in the Elder Accountability Report. Cantor told the Roy's report that he gave the Line of Fire board member Jonathan Bernice a copy of the witness report and asked that he share it with the EAT before publishing it on Cantor's website. The witness report calls for EAT to bring in a previously promised trauma-informed expert to advise them to reconsider its recommendations that include restoring Brown to ministry. So follow that time frame. So Cantor tells the Roy's report that he gave Jonathan Bernice, who was on the Elder Accountability Team, a copy of this witness report and asked that he share it with the team before publishing it on Cantor's website. The witness report calls for EAT to bring in the trauma expert, but yet even if he did that, the witness report still came out and still said, no problem, he should go back into ministry. Dr. Brown needs to be in therapy, witness report states. He needs help in understanding the damage and traumatic effects of clergy sexual abuse. However, Raleigh, Washington spokesperson for the EAT and former president of Promise Keepers told the Roy's report Monday that the EAT already involved an anonymous trauma-informed expert. The EAT has no plans to make any changes in its decision to reframe Brown's behavior as leadership misconduct rather than sexually abusive misconduct. The accountability team is sticking by what we've published, Washington said. We felt like what we did was right. It was godly. No, it was not. We feel that our definition of it better describes it than what Firefly said. So this person who used to be the former president of Promise Keepers, and the EAT's role was to protect Brown. And as such, they had to deal with the accusation of sexually abusive misconduct. If you do not think that, the types of grooming activities that he engaged in with a 19-year-old are not sexually abusive, I don't know. I can't help you. If you don't think that even the inappropriate phone sex relationship with a married woman is not sexually abusive conduct, I can't help you. Again, Dr. Brown was not a peer. He was the father figure and spiritual leader. I guess that's a picture of Mr. Washington. Washington added that he believes Cantor convinced Monk that what happened to her was 10 times worse than it was. Oh, how disgusting. I feel Cantor's done far more harm than good to Sarah, Washington said. Monk, who was 20 years old when Brown's conduct allegedly began, scoffed at that idea. Mr. Washington, you are deeply wrong, Monk told the Roy's report. You have no right to speak about my trauma and blame it on anyone except Michael Brown, the one who violated my trust, touched my butt, and kissed me. That is the one to blame, not the voice who has advocated for the victims. Similarly, Cantor called on Washington's comments highly irresponsible and lacking any level of empathy for the victims of abuse. The statement alone should disqualify Raleigh Washington from being on Mike's eldership accountability team, Cantor said. He clearly does not understand abuse and its paralyzing effects. Cantor called Washington's statement misogynistic and dishonoring to Sarah, as it belittles her as a woman and a survivor. It took some man to tell her how bad things really were. I'd love for him to explain how a girl who was 19 years old, on fire for God, left fire school 2 years later in the aftermath of a sexually abusive relationship, backslidden and broken. It's almost like saying, it's not like he raped you. Get over it. Cantor also added that by the time he met Sarah in early 2024, she had already disclosed Brown's alleged abuse to many people. All I did was write down her story and give it to Mike Brown's board, Cantor said. The only convincing thing I had to do was help her see she was a victim of Mike Brown, not a willing participant. She continued to blame herself, as typical for victims of abuse. On May 7th, Brown posted a video. I'm very much aware of the fact the body of Christ is now there's some kind of mini civil war over me. Some of you are really for me. Some of you are really against me. I want to make an appeal. Please don't divide over me. Unite around Jesus. So that's the reporting. There was also a very good brief video for what's the name of that podcast? Yeah, give me a second. I spelled it wrong. I think I did. Wake Up and Win. Wake Up and Win podcast. That's what I thought it was. So they had this one.
While corresponding with you, I have
is going to be reading this statement from Sarah Monk regarding the newest Firefly report, but mostly the leadership, eldership, accountability group statement that basically let Mike Brown off the hook for everything. So Natalie Lewis is going to be reading this statement here.
Sarah says, "Thank you, Natalie. I have so much to say, but I also have no idea how to put it into words. I am so hurt by how the accountability team took what was done to me and justified it as leadership misconduct. Since when is touching someone's butt, kissing on the lips, and holding hands in secret leadership misconduct? It hurts. It hurts bad. They say that they know that what Mike did was wrong, but still do not hold him accountable for his actions towards me. They downplay what is classified by the investigator who they paid to find out the truth. For Mike and Nancy to state that it didn't happen or that it's not as bad as I claim. Nancy never saw anything happen. Mike was the one doing it to me. So how can they say, oh, it isn't that bad? It was just a lack of judgment, a playful slap. The meeting never happened. They are lying, and God knows the truth. But the accountability team believes them. They believe them on everything. As far as the married lady, Mike has lied about what happened between them. It was not only her words he wrote down, it was his as well. But again, the accountability team just believes Mike and Nancy. The way
That's an important point, because it's one that I mentioned in reviewing all of this several times. The other accountability team at every turn accepted everything that Dr. Brown says at face value, and in doing so dismissed and showed no empathy whatsoever for the victims.
Accountability team has classified everything Mike did to me. The wife, Chris, Catherine, Londa, Fonda, Ron, Mike Labanovic, Niles, Steve Alt, Bob Blackstone, and others is absolutely sickening.
It is. And listen to that long list. This is not, and there's never been a story of one person. There's two victims, but there's multiple witnesses that all attest to the same thing. And all of them have to be summarily dismissed in order to get to the conclusions that the elder accountability team reached.
They have looked the other way. They see Mike as repented, but he is not. There are so many lies they wrote in the report that I can point them out. They believe Mike. And as far as me hurting Mike and Nancy's family, I did not touch Mike anywhere besides a hug. He touched me. He is the one who instigated everything. The accountability team report is giving pastors / ministers and out to cross physical lines with people Just classify it as leadership misconduct or an emotional soul tie. They can kiss a single person when they are married. They can touch someone's butt and hold hands in secret. They also are saying speaking sexually to another is okay because it is an emotional soul tie. They want to throw the scripture to cover Mike's actions. It all just makes me sick.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens next with the story, but it's a little encouraging to see that the people who've been trying to ring the bell about this are not done yet ringing it, despite the confetti parades for Dr. Brown. And remember, this is not personal. This is a very sad story that could have been averted multiple times over the last 23 years if Dr. Brown would just take ownership of what he did and truly repent. If he had done that in 2001, 2002, his ministry may have survived, or maybe he wouldn't have been able to build it into the empire that he enjoys today. Either way, I think we should all join hands with the victims and the witnesses and agree that, what I said, I think 3 podcasts ago is, your ministry is over, Dr. Brown. And you should realize that. There's no way that you could return to being the voice of moral clarity. Not that you ever were. You carved out a pretty good life for yourself, and you'll get to enjoy your golden years and, relative, comfort. Sure, you can find some niche to get back into, but, what's happening now with this complete and utter disdain that you have and your people have for your victims is beyond unchristlike. And I think you have to know that at some level. And like I said earlier, Landon Schott's got to go too. What he did in having a hero's welcome, like I say, even if you thought like this was crazy, I'm saying this is nothing burger. Dr. Brown basically doesn't deny any of the activity. He just reclassifies it, right? He just says, oh, well, she was like a daughter, that was just, I was stupid, and with the married woman, it's like, well, that's basically just like too consensual. But at least I didn't do anything physical. Yeah, you didn't do anything physical because she wouldn't let you. She refused to meet with you. You didn't do anything physical beyond the butt slapping and hugging and cuddling with the 19-year-old sheep who was your employee. That didn't go any further because she walked away. So I never understood why Dr. Brown was getting all this credit for not having a physical affair. They wouldn't let you. That's why. But either way, I'm glad that the witnesses have now banded together to release another report and demanded that Dr. Brown not return to ministry. And it's interesting also that, Mr. Bernice, who never should have been on the elder accountability team to begin with, he's beyond a conflict of interest. He's a board member. But the fact that he resigned from the board, that's what we call in the business a tell. So it wouldn't surprise me if, because he knew that this thing was out there, this witness report that they were going to release to the public, that he's getting ahead of it and saying, you know what, I'm out. And that should be, he can sit there and say, you know, it's for family reasons or whatnot. I'm sure everybody's got family reasons why they could resign. But, you know, considering the timing, you know, it's pretty obvious that Mr. Bernice sees what's coming, and he apparently doesn't want to have to answer the questions. So, sad story continues. I await the next shoe. There's been a lot of shoes dropping. Please leave your comments, and I'll be happy to respond. And give it a thumbs up, and like the channel, ring the bell, all the fun stuff, and test everything and hold fast.